What's going on, everybody? And welcome back to another episode of the BuiBros Football Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Quinn Bowie, and I cheer for the LA Chargers. Across from me, my brother Brandon.
And I cheer for your Minnesota Vikings. Boom, 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 boom. And on today's episode, we're going to be doing just a recap of what's going on, maybe what happened at OTAs, what happened after OTAs.
Man, all I want to do is talk about one thing. Let's get that right. But before we get into that, if you're with us today, thank you so much. We do truly appreciate it. Please, if you want to continue having the conversation, talk football, NFL every single week. Hit the subscribe button. Make sure to like the video and hit the notification bell. It really does help the channel out. But let's get into it. There is one big piece of news, and my goodness, Brandon, I sure gave you and the Vikings organization a hard time last week. Big news. Let us know, man. I'm not going to take away your thunder.
Big news. Big contract. Big money. Big news for the biggest wide receiver on the market. Not even on the market. He was never on the market.
In the NFL.
In the NFL, the biggest wide receiver in the NFL, Justin Jefferson, signs a 4-year, $140 million deal with $110 million guarantees. So $35 million a year, which is $3 million up from A.J. Brown's $32 million a year. But I think more importantly for Mr. Justin Jefferson, it is $1 million a year more than Nick Bosa's $34 million deal.
Right.
But his
now the highest paid non-QB.
That's correct.
In the league.
Yeah, highest paid non-QB. Like I said, Nick Bosa got 5 years, something for $134 million a year. Jefferson gets $135. He gets all the guarantees. So he's locked up with us for the next 5 years. It's great. We knew it was coming. You watched the press conference. Both of them went. There was times when we left the table, they came back to the table. We're thankful everybody came back, but we always knew it was going to get done. And it's just, we always knew. Right. And people who know anything always knew it was getting done.
Hey, yeah, people who know anything. Absolutely. And hey, I didn't, let me be clear. I did not think a deal was not going to get done. My biggest point was why the heck hasn't been done yet? Because now you're at $35 million a year. Was that always the number? Who knows? It quite possibly could have been. I was just re-looking at the end of last season, and I was reading about the fact that Justin Jefferson actually, like the day before the season started, I believe, he turned down an offer with the Vikings for $28 million a year. Rumors, of course, but he said no, he's going to bet on himself and try one more, and, well, another $7 million a year. That's fantastic. Mm-hmm. Especially with those guarantees. You mentioned them earlier, but how A.J. Brown is only 3 years on average annual salary below Justin Jefferson, but I think he's over $20 million less in terms
he was
of
like
guarantee.
84 guaranteed or something like that, if I'm remembering.
Which is pretty much what JJ's getting at signing, because that's a huge portion of it right up front. Mm-hmm. And hey, it was a long, hard-fought battle between both parties, and hey, the Minnesota Vikings came out on top.
Yeah.
Yes, it's going to be the highest contract right now. It's going to be considerable towards your cap, but you've got your rookie QB on that rookie contract, and this is only going to help him develop and grow. Is having arguably the best wide receiver in the National Football League, catching passes, and JJ knows his role. He's going to be the biggest voice with McCarthy over there.
Yeah. Well, and JJ, like when you watch their press conference that they had yesterday, I think, maybe the day before, it was actually a pretty cool press conference. Jefferson had some cool things to say. You know, he talked about how, you know, the classic is not all about money, you know,
Right.
which is, you know, it is and it isn't. But he said, you know, it's about getting what I deserve. And it was very blunt, but it was nice. You know, it is what he deserves. You know, there was lots of talks about him becoming the highest paid non-quarterback. And when Nick Bosa got his deal last year, it was like, ooh, this means something for Justin Jefferson. So it's not like he's, you know, Nick Bosa's 34 and then we waited so long and now we got to pay him 38 or something a year. It's 1 million more, you know, so he's, you know, not as petty as Amon-Ra St. Brown's like $1,000 or whatever it is over.
Right. Yeah, I think it was the $2,500.
Yeah, $2,500.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like that, but it's what he deserves. I don't think that it's any less than he deserves, and I always like when the players get paid. But he also had a couple things too, where he said that last year there was contract talks within his team when he got injured, whereas maybe he should sit out to not further injure himself. And there was talks about that last year, but he came out and said he's not sitting out. He wants to play. He wants to help the team. And that's eventually what he did. He said that, you know, his team said, maybe you should sit out. And he said, that's not on my mind. You know what I mean? Like, the money isn't actually what matters. It's this team and it's helping the team and do whatever. And he did that, right? So he put his money 100%. Where his mouth is. You know, he showed up for the team. He had a great, however many games he played, seven games that he played, including the ones that he got hurt. He missed 10, I believe. So he did well, and he proved it to himself that he could do it. You know, he had a hard time with a season that he never would have wanted. So it was a really cool exchange that they had. And then it was also nice that GM came out and said that this is important, not only for this signing, but it was important for them to have this press conference because Jefferson was drafted in the 2020 season for COVID, and he never got to have his family there. He never got to hold up the jersey. He never got to do any of that kind of stuff. So they did all of that with him. So it wasn't so much. It was just like it was a really, really nice moment, actually. It was nice for his family. They seemed like great people. It was nice for the whole organization. So yeah, Justin Jefferson locked up, but it's just nice. It's just really good.
I bet you have an all-world player, not only wide receiver on your team. You best do everything you can to retain him. And I know I gave you a hard time last week, but I'm happy for the Vikings. I'm happy for you. I'm happy for all the fans because it's so exciting when you have the number one at a position, a superstar in the league on your team. Cool. It really makes it so much better, you know, watching every Sunday. And that's great. One point that I'm curious about is going back to your point about Justin Jefferson now being the top paid non-QB in the league, is that it did used to be, that record used to be held by Nick Bosa and the edge position, rushing the passer. It used to be QB, most important position, and then you needed to get at the quarterback, disrupt the quarterback, right? And so with Nick Bosa having that top non-paid QB, well, now it belongs to a wide receiver. And what does that do for the league? What does that say about the league? How does that affect the way that the salary cap is distributed going forward? Because I think this is a huge momentum shift, is that, yes, the quarterback is important, but you also, with how smart the defenses are, you know, it's been an offensive game for so long, so the defense has always been playing catch up, but they are starting to understand different trends in the way the offenses are running now. So you need to have the upper echelon type of talent, that weapon for your quarterback as well. Yeah. Because those are the guys who can, yes, of course, they can get the deep balls, score the touchdowns, make the big plays, but they're also going to be available to help take pressure off of the quarterback with those quick release passes. They're going to be reliable to get that first down 3-4 yards. And JJ being the whole package, hey, yes, you can pay like a Nick Bosa to try and disrupt the quarterback. But if we can get our guy open, and yeah, we know that they're going to be double teaming him. We know that they're going to be all eyes on JJ, but he's still the guy that can get open and make the play when it counts the most. So very interesting to see how this is going to shift the league.
Mm-hmm. It's I wonder, and we might get an answer quite soon, where you're talking, oh, it's a wide receiver, but it might not just be a wide receiver. It might literally be Justin Jefferson, right? It might be just because it's Justin Jefferson. That's why he's getting paid higher than Nick Bosa. But CeeDee Lamb now has to get his deal done. So maybe it is just the wide receiver market moving there. And then Jamar Chase next year or this year.
Right.
Because
exactly.
I think Jamar didn't report to minicamp. CeeDee Lamb did not report.
Right. Jamar and T. Higgins weren't at OTAs. I don't know if the Bengals were one of the early teams here for minicamp. I haven't read anything specific about them not being there, but doesn't necessarily mean that's the case.
Yeah, I've been seeing there's some notable names out there that haven't been going, so it's kind of nice that JJ isn't one of those guys. You know, they got the deal done before they needed to, essentially right when they needed to.
Yes.
And yeah, that was another cool thing too, is that they actually spoke openly about how they had to get to a certain point with these conversations. It was like his team was like, no, we're not budging. And then they'd come back to the table and then the GM would be like, nah, we can't do that. And then the GM would start the talks again. And it was kind of cool just to hear candidly, you know, it is all GM and PR talk. But at the same time, like, they were saying a lot of things that, you know, weren't putting themselves in like the nicest light. So it's kind of like a more real conversation or more real press conference, I thought, at least. So it was good.
That's always interesting and good to kind of see the inner workings from a fan's perspective, right?
Well, and the GM came out and he was like, I remember, you know, I was like really early on when I came here and there was like a pretty bad contract negotiation going on with some player. And he was very frustrated and he like saw Justin and was like, dude, we're going to get your deal done like that. And then he was like, and that was just my naive 1 month on the job GM talk, you know? And like, so that was kind of fun too.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like they both kept saying they knew it was going to get done, just a matter of when, you know, it was going to happen. Right. Something's going to move and we'll get it done. And they did. So I'm excited. This guy's, you know, by the end of his career, he's going to be a lot of fans' favorite player in franchise history. You know what I mean?
I think, I think that translates to a lot of NFL fans as a whole.
Oh, yeah, man.
Right? Like, this is not just solely the Minnesota Vikings, but it's that just extra special bit for them.
I liked a certain player, which brought me to this team. Tons of kids now, tons of younger people or people getting into the league will like this guy and then be a fan of the Vikings moving forward, no matter if he moves on, you know, after this contract or not, right? So it's kind of cool. You know, you have these superstar names and your fan base grows. So it's fun.
Awesome. And you know, let's see what happens. Is it JJ? I really want to know if CeeDee Lamb is the type of player to just take a few $1 million less. Maybe he can be number 2 after or before AJ Brown. Jamar Chase, I don't know what that situation is going to be like, especially because he's come out publicly saying, I'm waiting for JJ to get his money first before I sign a deal.
They all got their egos, you know what I mean?
100%. And
especially
when it's said
JJ
publicly,
Jamar. Like,
oh yeah, teammates, right? Yeah. Like, give me a break. 1 and 2, they're numbers. Like,
well, it's also the highest paid players, or the highest paid quarterback, and the highest paid wide receiver
on the same
both
team.
From the same draft, both from the same team. You know.
Hey, so. But that's exactly what we were talking about earlier. Now we have to get that weapon, that absolute elite playmaker for the superstar quarterback.
Yeah.
Those are the two that I think might give this record of top non-QB paid for a run for their money. But when we look at, let's say, Brandon Ayuk, I don't quite think that he's going to be in that conversation. And I think he knows it as well.
But I think he's good enough to get a good deal, though. He is good enough. He never disappeared when Debo got injured and everything. He always stepped up to the plate. Whether he's a top 5 guy or not, he's definitely very good, very consistent.
Yeah, and his yards per average, I'm not going to do the math right now, but I think he was 74, 75 catches last year for 13 and a half, like 1,350 yards. Great. And, I can't remember the touchdown, but great player. He's going to get the job done anywhere. He's going to be a wide receiver one elsewhere. Who knows? I don't know what the Niners are going to be doing. But I do want to get to the Niners for a different reason here. But quickly, if you're still with us, thank you so much. Please make sure to subscribe, like the video, and hit the notification bell. It really does help the channel out. Lets us know that you want to be part of the conversation. Talk football, NFL, every week.
Definitely.
But Brandon, there's a rumor, or there's a report, actually, that the 49ers, the Jets, and the Colts tried to trade for Justin Jefferson before the draft. Now, I kind of want to go through each of these teams and maybe understand the thinking. Does it make sense? Could they even do it? I'll start with the Colts here. The Colts have always been in the wide receiver market. They have Michael Pittman Jr., who's doing a heck of a job over there. Signed a contract extension earlier this offseason. I believe he was one of the first, if not the first, wide receiver to sign that extension. So the Colts got that out of the way early before this whole craze of signings at the position. But they've been looking for that alpha number one wide receiver, them trading. They had the cap space at the time, at least. And they have Anthony Richardson. Thank you. At QB, second year, coming off that big injury. They need to get him all the help that they can to ensure his development goes on schedule. I think that would have been an interesting team, and a team that I actually believe made the offer. What do you think about? I understand this is hindsight now, but would it make sense for the Colts?
So I should preface by saying I also saw reports like that were supposedly turned down immediately, with a big no, we're not trading him. But for the Colts, where did they pick? Because did they make the playoffs with Minshew?
15, I believe.
15?
They did not make the playoffs, no.
So what? What do they offer? You know what I mean? What would
for sure
a hypothetical offer be? It would be 15, maybe, and then something?
It would have for sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I bet you it would have been 15 and first next year plus a few add-ons, right?
That's a lot. I love JJ. I just don't know, the value, right? Because he's not a draft pick. He's a real player that you got to pay right now.
I think the market and the trade value, you have to look back to the Tyreek trade from Kansas City to Miami,
right.
And what the compensation.
That
There was a heck of a lot of. No, it wasn't 3
No?
firsts,
Okay.
but there was a heck of a lot of picks, all scattered kind of throughout multiple drafts and different rounds of the draft. Yeah. And so that would be the most comparable. So 2 firsts, I don't think would be out of the question here for JJ, and especially with the pick this year or this past draft being 15, they definitely need to sweeten the pot. So something around there.
Whoa.
Probably. But yeah, Colts to me makes sense. Obviously, if he was on the market.
I would be quite sad if he were to be if he was traded anywhere. That would have sucked.
Yeah. Of course, anywhere, absolutely, anywhere. The Colts, at least in this case, the other conference, so you wouldn't necessarily have to play him too often. Then we move to the New York Jets. Well, they've got Garrett Wilson there,
Aaron
but they
Rodgers.
have always Aaron Rodgers.
He said he always wanted to play with JJ.
Of course.
Or he wanted Green Bay to draft him, is what he said. But
oh man, with Devontae Adams, incredible. That would have been absolute fireworks. But with Aaron Rodgers at the twilight of his career, the Jets seem to be all in, and why not? Could they have gotten it done and made things work with the cap space? If Minnesota was even the slightest bit open to the trade, I bet you anybody would have made the magic work with the cap.
Exactly.
Just to get it done. 100%. So the Jets organization, not making the playoffs for however many consecutive seasons, their fan base has just been in the gutter. And when Aaron Rodgers finally came to town last year, everybody, it's our season. We have Robert Saleh in that defense. It's going to be great. Aaron Rodgers is going to do his thing. Garrett Wilson. And then, of course, we all know how that story went. But now you get Justin Jefferson. The big city lights, the Big Apple, New York City, that big media over there too, sending Aaron Rodgers hopefully to get another ring.
You imagine? What are those 2 consecutive off seasons like for Jets fans? You get Aaron Rodgers
so much hope
in one, and then you trade for Justin Jefferson the next. That would be crazy.
They would immediately get rid of the turf at MetLife Stadium and ensure that there is no major injuries coming to the way of their 2 superstars, because New York needs it, the NFL needs it. These 2 players absolutely would need it. Wow. That's something pretty crazy to think about. The New York Football Jets taking Justin Jefferson away. Now, what would they be getting? Well, the Jets, I believe, were pick 10 originally.
We traded with them to get JJ McCarthy.
Right. So then 10 would be there. So then you would have pick 10 and 11 in the first round of this draft, which would have been pretty spectacular. Pretty cool to watch. Of course, we're putting the fact that you have to get rid of Justin Jefferson aside, the biggest loss of all. Wow, New York, what do you think about that? Green Bay getting rid of Aaron Rodgers, and now
we get rid
Vikings.
of Justin Jefferson. Yeah, again, like, it would be sad. Like, it would be cool to see him on a team like that, I guess. Like, I'd way rather him go there than go to the Colts. Just because I get to watch him hopefully play great football, with a great quarterback. Anthony Richardson was doing well.
Still, who knows, right? The jury's out.
He was doing well, but who knows, right? Where Aaron Rodgers, again, I guess who knows as well, right? With the injury, it's going to be a little weird, but...
especially with all the rumors and everyone's, what's going on with him? At OTAs, is he okay? Like,
well, I heard
he's rubbing his ankle weird.
I heard he couldn't, like, when he used to throw, he would have one foot up, and now he has them both down on the one that he tore his Achilles, and because he can't put all the weight on the ball of his foot, supposedly. I don't know if that's true or not.
Wow.
What do I know?
Well,
but that would be crazy, right? He got a different surgery than Kirk got. Which has a shorter recovery time, but it's not
it's probably not as
responsive,
all encompassing.
Yeah, right. Like, because Kirk's tear was like low enough that they got to reuse, like they just pulled his tendon and then stitched it back or something like that. Whereas Rodgers was different. And they put in a bridge, they call it, something like that. And so they put another piece in there, and it's a quicker recovery time, but it's not real, right? Like, it's not your real Achilles anymore. So it's a little wonky, and apparently people have been like, eyeballing his foot to see his movement and comparing it to what it used to look like, and it supposedly is different. So I hope he's got enough left in the tank. Like, I don't want someone to go out like that, but we'll see.
100%. Aaron Rodgers has been a legend, no matter what team he's played on. skill level, he's arguably the top actual passer in NFL history, and I definitely hope he can go out on top. Not all the way top, but a respectable top.
Hope he loses in the AFC finals
championship against the Chargers.
Exactly.
Yes.
All the success.
Trust in Harbaugh. But let's move on to this third team, and this one, in my mind, has all the implications. Is the San Francisco 49ers inquiring about Justin Jefferson? Now, is this just a case of, hey, let's check in? Maybe they're willing to give him up for not so expensive because we're going to have to pay him more than Nick Bosa, so we'd have the top 2 non-QBs on an NFL roster. So maybe they'll be a little cheap. Was this just a check-in, or was it an actual interest? And were there maybe some thinkings of throw in Ayuk? Hey, you still have to pay him, but you'll have to pay him less than Justin Jefferson. Or, hey, we'll give you Deebo Samuel to help JJ McCarthy, and he's at quite a considerable lesser of a deal because we signed him a couple seasons ago. I don't know what the trade would have looked like there, but the fact that they've got both of those superstar wide receivers, great talents, if they're both on the field and both healthy, and they're still looking into Justin Jefferson. What are the 49ers doing? I get that you have Brock Purdy on that hell of a deal, 7th round player on his rookie contract, but how would you swing that? Not only are you paying everybody with Trent Williams and Kittle and Fred Warner and Nick Bosa, Deebo Samuel, soon to be Ayuk. Like, I'm sure I miss Christian McCaffrey with his new deal. Like, hey, well deserved.
Well deserved. Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely. How the heck are you gonna get JJ?
Because the cap isn't real, man. Because
they can know that argument there,
they can
but
do things. And presumably they would trade away another one of their contracts, right? Like, you trade away Deebo, you don't have to pay. You trade away Ayuk, you don't have to pay. There's things that they do. And you know what? We're talking, are they just inquiring? Is it this or that? I bet you friggin' more than half the teams in the leagues gave him a call, gave Kwesi a call and said, hey, available? We don't have
at all,
anything. We got some stuff, and why wouldn't you, right? Every GM there should have been 31 teams on the phone, right? Like, just to see if the value's there, then you take it. If it's not, then you don't. But
right, and I wonder if that's the case here. But the fact that this is a report that's now out there publicly, the Colts and the Jets don't have a wide receiver that's looking to get paid. The 49ers do. And this has got to ruffle some feathers with Brandon Ayuk. Hey, you want to pay that guy, but you don't want to pay me? Well, my price might have gone up. I can blame it just so simply on the fact that Justin Jefferson just reset the market. Am I looking for his deal? No. But I was looking at 28. We talked about this last week. Like, I think he's in that 28 range, like Jalen Waddle. But I think maybe now going up to 30, matching that report that Amon-Ra St. Brown's deal was kind of that benchmark. I think it's definitely going to be up in that 30 mil now.
It's also, I got to look at their cap situation. I don't really know, but can they do something like that right now? Like, you just talked about all these guys that they're paying. They're lucky that they got Purdy on this deal, but they don't have a 5th-year option for him. So they're paying 100%. Him this next offseason. And if they go to the Super Bowl again, that guy's getting 50+.
Oh, my goodness.
100%.
Absolutely. 100%. Right? Like,
at this
I'm curious what his deal is going to be. Being Mr. Irrelevant to how many millions he's going to sign on for. If
he shits the bed this year, they definitely don't replace him. They can ride him out, but they will sign him next year for like 40. 35.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
40, 45. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it definitely,
agree.
maybe it won't be that 50, 53 mark, but if they go for a deep run again, it's like the guy's getting max money, you know?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So.
100%. And who knows where that's going to come from? And it's going to be tougher to pay him too if you've got Ayuk on the books.
Yeah.
The 49ers, yes, they've got an incredible roster and they're coached incredibly well, but they will run into problems. I know you say the cap isn't real and a lot of people agree with you, but eventually
Yeah, it catches up.
it does catch up, and down the line you get yourself into some pretty sticky situations. So let's see what's going on here with the 49ers. But at the end of the day, all that matters is Justin Jefferson stays home in Minnesota.
Yep.
So happy for the Minnesota Vikings, so happy for you, so happy for the fans. And coming from us paying Justin Herbert last year, Justin Herbert, we were happy he got paid. Yes, he was the highest paid QB for a quick amount of time before Joe Burrow took that throne. But we got the deal done. We get another 5 years of Justin Herbert. You get another 4 years of Justin Jefferson. What a great time to be fans of the Minnesota Vikings, of the LA Chargers, of the NFL. And I just want to say, if you're with us, thank you again so much. This has been so much fun. What a great time. So happy here. If you like what you're listening to, make sure to subscribe, like the video, and hit the notification bell. It really does help the channel out. Lets us know that you like what we're chatting about. Continue talking NFL each and every week.
Yeah.
Brandon, why don't you send us off?
Yeah, well, just like Quinn said, do all those things, do all the YouTube stuff. But more importantly, all I get to do is talk football with this guy. And I want to talk football with more people. It would be great if you could comment, say anything, talk about whatever. We'd love to hear from you. So please do that. And then don't forget to Skol Bolts, baby.
Skol Bolts. Till next time.
Till next time.